speaking of middle-aged, though,
Yes.
Terry Funk.
Yes.
Middle-aged and crazy, like a wide-eyed scorpion.
Right.
You know, that one fucking hurt. It hurts.
Yeah.
You know, like, I put up the picture of you and I, like, last Thursday, like, came to your house. I'm wearing the Chainsaw Charlie shirt. You're wearing the Terry Funk shirt. We're just, like, looking like, God damn it, we did it again, you know? But you're like, oh, let me go change. And I was like, no, you're not fucking changing.
Right.
This is Terry Funk.
Yeah. We look good in a Walmart camera.
I know, yeah, right. I know, we Target, but either way.
Target. Was it Target?
It was Target.
All right, Target. Sorry.
Either way.
Stricken from the record.
Yeah, we look good in department stores.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, though, man, it, you know, you knew it was coming.
Right. Long life. 79 years old, long time.
Yeah, I mean, that's longer than the average male.
Right.
And for the things that Terry did to his body, to entertain everybody and make a living.
Absolutely.
You know, you really saw less and less of him when Vicky died.
Yep.
He kind of took a backseat to everything. You know, we were talking before, right before, you know, the pandemic kind of shut everything down for 2.5 years or whatever. He was going to be in Philadelphia for his last East Coast appearance.
They said, right.
And we were going, and I was like, I can't fucking wait, you know?
And I had done the autograph thing. It was his last autograph signing because he couldn't do it anymore. Yeah. So I got an autograph figure. But yeah, we were going to go meet him and sort of, you know, let him know one last time.
And so unfortunately, that, you know, taken away. Yeah, man, he's the fucking greatest.
Yes.
It is, man.
You know, I got 1.5 million text messages, and thank you to everybody who did reach out. I'm going to cry through most of this. So.
It's all right, hey, man. Let it go.
You know, that's my guy, and it's been my guy for so long that, like, the people I didn't expect were, like, texting me, like, hey, I saw the news. Are you okay? Like, not even like oh, my God, did Terry Funk die? Just, are you okay? Like, you know, and I, you know, talking to Michelle knows how much I love Terry Funk, and I sort of said, you know, like, I can make exceptions for, like, I can't pick my favorite movie, right? I know the movie I watched the most, which I'm going to talk about a little bit. But, like, you know, I have a handful of favorite movies. I can't pick a clear number one. I have, you know, I will often tout Motorhead as my favorite band. But that can also be based on mood. And also, if, like, Motorhead's not your thing, or, you know, you don't like that kind of music, or you like a band better, you know, whatever, I'm willing to hear that argument. You know, I get it. Motorhead's my thing. It doesn't have to be everybody's thing, right? But on a given day, it could be the Stooges. It could be just a bunch of other bands. But until my dying breath, I will not accept anyone that says Terry Funk isn't the greatest professional wrestler of all time. He is my number one favorite professional wrestler that will never change. I don't see anybody being able to do that. And he has been, excuse me for a second here, forever. And it's, you know, we talk a bit here about how my brain works as opposed to wrestling memories, and how, like, Joe remembers a ton and where he was and what, you know, like, you could probably ask Joe what seat he was in at the ECW arena and he would know it. And you have that good of a memory too. You remember what happens at what WrestleMania and all that stuff. I don't have the memory for that kind of stuff. But I remember walking up to the tape booth at ECW in Kingston Armory. We will not mention his name. But I remember walking up and saying in my first ECW show, what do you have that has lots of Terry Funk in it?
Yeah, man.
And because at that point, you know, this is a little bit later in ECW's run, but, you know, this is 98, 99, I guess, maybe 97, I doubt it. But, you know, Terry is the guy who made that company feel legitimate, right? It's the, you know, the Beyond the Mat speech to Paul that Paulie gives, you know, like all that sort of stuff, like Welcome to the Dance stuff. But, like, Terry was so important to me, and that was, I remember being given options of, well, there's this Best of Cactus Jack that's going to have him all over it. There's this 2-tape shoot interview. And I didn't really understand what a shoot interview was.
Sure.
And then there was this King of the Deathmatch tournament from 1995. And it said on an IWA King of the Deathmatch tournament, and then in parentheses it said Cactus versus Funk.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll take that one. And I took that one, and I remember going back to my seat and sort of stewing that I didn't have enough money for 3 tapes. I had enough money for 2 tapes, but I didn't want to, and the shoot interview was 2 tapes. And I didn't want to just buy one of them. And it was 4 hours each. It was 8 hours of tapes. And I remember sitting there, and I remember talking to my friends, and I remember bumming the money off one of them to go and buy both tapes. And I walked out of there with the IWA King of the Deathmatch 95 tournament and the first RF Terry Funk shoot interview, which is 8 hours long. I think he did 2 more after that, maybe even 3 more after that.
Probably.
And like a lot of people of my age, your age, that IWA Deathmatch tournament changed lives.
Straight up. Like the first time seeing that, it's like jarring,
right?
You know, but in a good way.
It's infamous.
Yeah.
It could very well be tamed by today's standards.
Yeah.
There's no tubes. But that whole tournament changed point of views in wrestling fandoms and mindsets about what could and couldn't happen. And it is a remarkable tape that then gets, some more notoriety through Stranglemania. Right, which is super important to both of us from our teenage years.
Absolutely.
But that really changed my world, and that was what made Terry Funk my favorite wrestler. And then I got the shoot interview, and I remember watching that straight through, 8 hours, all night. Sat up watching 8 hours of Terry Funk shoot interview, and it covers his entire career. And most of the match quality is real shitty.
Yeah. But
Terry was telling fun stories, and I still quote stuff from that all the time, like how Terry Funk would say charisma. And Mick Foley would always correct him, and he would say, and I would tell Mick, I said, you don't pronounce charm, carm. So you got a lot of charisma, kid. And I still quote that all the time. And I remember he's chewing tobacco in the video and spinning in a cup. And it's just such a great, and I haven't seen that in forever. And he's done a bunch of shooters since then, but that is still like the most comprehensive one there is. And it's really a remarkable thing. But that's sort of my origin story with Terry Funk. I don't know that I remember him prior to that anywhere. I'm sure I've seen him, but I don't know that I remember him. 89, I don't think I was watching wrestling. I was 5 years old.
So as funny as this may be, my first exposure to Terry Funk was WCW when it was with Stud Stable.
Okay.
Like, I remember him being there. I almost remember Bunkhouse Buck a little more for some reason, but Saturday nights, my uncle always used to tape WCW Saturday night for me, you know?
Right.
And I was like, I remember being a kid, being like, man, that guy's crazy, you know? Second memory of him was Chainsaw Charlie.
Right.
I remember watching that Raw live.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, scared.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't know. Like, there's a guy coming out of a box with a fucking chainsaw and a pantyhose on his head. I was, what was that, 97, 98?
Yeah.
I wasn't even 10 years old yet, you know? So I was like, oh, what is that, you know? And then I always talk about it, the January 2000 Nitro from the Wilkes-Barre Arena, like seeing Funk and Flair promo battle. And like I forever, dude, I go back and look and I go, holy fuck, I got to see that in person.
Right.
I like it just doesn't at the time again, I was 10 when that show happened. I didn't realize what I was seeing.
Right.
And then you go back and watch and just holy shit, I got to be there for that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then obviously teenage years, internet becomes real popular, King of the Deathmatch, ECW stuff. Like, dude, I remember the first time seeing Born to Be Wired. I felt like I was doing something wrong,
right?
Because it was one of those things where I read about it and I was like, "Whoa, that sounds crazy."
It was the first thing I watched last night. I
watched it last night too. But it was like one of those, I'm like, should I be watching this? You know, this is kind of like...
It's still jarring to this day.
You know?
Yeah.
And just, you're right, man. It just, the King of the Deathmatch stuff, Born to be Wired, it really like...
Yeah.
It gave me like this idea of Terry Funk as like, oh, this guy's fucking nuts and I love him. And then I remember, I think it was the first Ric Flair DVD that came out, like the DVD set.
Yeah. The white one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I have two copies of that one.
I love that. And the Funk stuff on there.
Yep. Yeah.
And seeing the promo where Funk just fucking hits him after Flair denies him of that shot at the world's title because we have a top 10 here, Terry, and you've been hanging around Hollywood, and man, like it just it changed my mind about Funk.
Yeah.
Of like, oh no, he's an amazing professional wrestler. You know, not that I didn't think he was just because the barbed wire stuff. I just thought, oh, the guy's a hardcore nut. He's crazy. But then seeing that and then the promos and the matches and just like, oh wow, this guy's fucking amazing.
Yeah. For sure.
And even so, I had, I missed this part, I had a best of WCW Halloween Havoc VHS tape.
Okay.
That like my grandmother bought me like, I don't know, Ames or some shit. And on there is the Havoc 89 cage match.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's clipped for the VHS tape.
Sure.
But again, like
they don't show you Muda blowing out the fire.
Sadly, no. Yeah. Which years later, when I went back and watched that, was like that awoke something in me. You know, that's where obviously like I you know, I really fell in love with the Great Muda.
Right.
But like seeing Terry on there and like, oh, it was so cool, you know? Yeah. And yeah, I mean, obviously, man, you're like the aficionado when it comes to Terry, no doubt. But like, man, I fucking love Terry Funk.
Yeah.
Dude, like, how often do we quote Terry Funk? Fine. Not even quoting him, but like
things about him.
Yeah, like Terry Funk ain't wearing no mouthpiece. Yep. That's like one of my favorite things to say, you know?
Yeah, so thinking about it, when you're thinking about it, I must have seen Funk in a box in ECW before the IWA death match.
Yeah.
But like, so I must have known him from somewhere. I'm even wondering if maybe I saw Stranglemania first and then saw the IWA death match. I was like, that's where this is from. I don't know. But yeah, he's a legend. He did so much and was so sort of formative. And I did get to meet him when I was a teenager. I still have the picture.
That's one of my favorite pictures.
I was so nervous. It barely looks like me.
Yeah, it really
doesn't. I was a young, thin man. I was 15, maybe.
You were 15, dude.
And I was wearing my knit cap that I wore forever until it got a giant hole in it. I love that hat. But
he's got you in a headlock.
I remember how nice he was, how nervous I was. It was at Carson's. I remember he told my friend Kyle that he looked like Paulie because Kyle had long hair and a baseball cap. He told me, you look like Paulie. And I just remember being real nervous. And I had the signed picture and it says, to my hardcore buddy, stay out of jail. Because he signed that for everybody. Yeah. And he signed a t-shirt. I had the Funk You 2 t-shirt signed by him. And the 8x10. And he signed a picture for a friend of ours, Frank, who couldn't make it who was Terry Funk's also his favorite wrestler, and he couldn't make it, but we paid for the autograph, and I got it for him, and I explained to him, I said, you know, big fan. I said, we're both giant fans. You're my favorite wrestler of all time, and he was very humble about it. And I said, a friend of mine can't make it, but he asked if I can get an 8x10 for him, and he signed it to Frank. DJ put me in a spinning toe hold and forced me to sign this autograph for you, like your friend or your pal Terry Funk. And I know Frankie still has it, and I'm surprised I didn't get a message from him today. But yeah, it was even back then I was super nervous, and I said I don't know if I met him as an adult I'd be any more eloquent. I don't think I'd be able to do anything beyond like you're my favorite wrestler of all time. Thank you, Mr. Funk. Because he really does mean the world to me, and I cried yesterday. I was in my chiropractor appointment when I saw Ric Flair post about it, and I sent it to you, and was like, "Please check this." And then you called me, but I was in the office.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like when you saw my name pop up on the phone, you're like, "Oh fuck!"
Right, and because it's Flair, you can't trust everything Flair says. No. But then Mick posted it, and that's pretty much where that landed. And I almost cried in the chiro waiting room. I was like, hold it together. You don't have to explain to your chiropractor that you're sobbing because a 79-year-old man you never met has passed away. But he is that important to me. And I didn't tell you this, and it's going to be very hard for me to get through. But I did write a little eulogy.
Oh, man, why are you going to do this to me?
I did tell you I was going to make you cry.
Yeah, you fuck.
It's going to be really tough, but I stayed up last night. I couldn't sleep, and I was watching.
Hold on, I'm going to have to chew on a Smurf gummy here.
I was watching Terry Funk stuff, and, and it's been really nice seeing everyone else sort of talk about him and knowing that he has all these fans. Michelle said once that Terry Funk was explained to him or her as your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler, and she's like, I understand that. That makes sense. Oh. But, and you said kindly that I'm the foremost sort of guy. And I'm sure there's other people, but it is my guy, and I do know a ton about him, and I've studied his career, and, I was on with our pals on Final Wrestling Place.
I thought about that earlier
to do that episode about Terry Funk. And I did the Twitter thread that Elon Musk ruined on Terry Funk's last birthday, which is even more of a reason for me to hate him.
Yep.
But I did get through like 89 or whatever. I don't know. That took a long, long time because once I started, I was like, well, I got to hit almost everything. Yeah. But I wrote this eulogy. It's short, but it's going to choke me up the whole time. But I'm going to try. So don't make fun of me for crying, and don't make fun of me if it's stupid. But this is me at 2 a.m. last night, and then I did some slight edits to it this morning. So... farewell to Funker. Amarillo, Texas's favorite son was born to be wired on June 30th of 1944 and forced into retirement on August 23rd of 2023. The second son of Dorothy Culver and Dory Funk Sr., younger brother to Dory Funk Jr. Terry would debut for his father's Western States sports promotion in 1965 against Sputnik Monroe and quickly rise through the ranks. Following in his brother's footsteps, by 1975, Terry had already solidified his legacy by becoming NWA champion, a reign that lasted 424 days. But that's only the first part of the legend. Over the next 30-plus years, the world would be gifted with the greatest pro wrestler to ever lace up a pair of boots. Through hard-fought battles in Japan and legendary battles with egg-sucking dogs, from empty arenas against the King in Memphis, to chair riots in Philly, in fights with banana-nosed cowards in Troy, New York, to explosions in FMW, to a starring role in Roadhouse. Terry showed wrestling fans what it truly meant to be meaner than a rattlesnake, tougher than shoe leather, and certainly more dangerous than a hollow-eyed scorpine. Terry made sure everyone knew that he didn't need no goddamn theme music. We were told that he didn't wear no mouthpiece. And he showed us that if you came out of a box, you were guaranteed to be over. Terry Funk had a pro wrestling career most people dream about. In fact, he had it 3 times over. Funk found success as a man who knew how to reinvent himself, how to be unselfish in selfish times, and knew when to go home to his sick horse. A legend's legend, a pro's pro, your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. Straight out of Texas, kicking ass and taking names. Tuesdays are for Terry, but Terry Funk is forever. That's... yeah.
Oh, man.
That's my guy. And, it's the saddest I've ever been for somebody I didn't know. And, we have to make sure, Joe told me this, because he was one of the people that texted me, and, we have to make sure that people don't forget Terry. And there's going to be a lot of people that don't make sure that Terry's not forgotten, right? Because he is a legend. Even Ric Flair was he taught me a lot. And, Ric Flair's high up on that pedestal, but I don't know that you have a Ric Flair without a Terry Funk. I don't know that a lot of these people are able to come to the level that they do without running across Terry Funk's path, right? He has the one title run. The rumor was always that he wasn't supposed to win it, that he subbed in for his brother and it was a shoot or it was a work and, whatever. But he was champion. He's on the cover of the first ever NWA magazine.
Yep.
And he has this amazing career in Japan, retires in the early 80s, goes into Hollywood, comes back, sort of has this other career almost. Even in between, like his Japan career, his style in Japan's a little different than his style in the U.S. He invents the hardcore over there in Japan with Brody and Abdullah and Stan. And he has this crazy career in the NWA in the 80s, through the 70s and 80s. He has the Japan career running concurrently. He feuds with Flair in what is still, to me, the greatest feud in professional wrestling history.
No doubt. Nothing touches it.
It runs a year, and it's absolutely insane and completely captivating. And then, the mid-90s, he's 44 years old in 89, 45, when he's what some may consider his peak. It's certainly one of the peak wrestling years. 89 is an amazing year for professional wrestling. It's
incredible.
And he then reinvents for ECW and FMW. And, is this, he was middle-aged and crazy long before he ever got to ECW.
Yeah.
Because when we watch that Mark Henry match today from 2001 when JR says middle-aged and crazy and Lawler says, how many 106-year-old men do you know?
Yeah.
But his ECW run is really great, and it's what a lot of people remember. And I still think even when I close my eyes and think of him, I think of the striped tights. And that's not until till post 89. It's not until the early 90s that he's wearing the red, black, and white, or the blue and black, or the yellow, gray, and black, or whatever. Then they were just like women's tights, pantyhose that he put over, over a pair of underwear over. But the ECW thing is really this remarkable run that helps legitimize the company and sort of plants his cultural image of that sort of crazy old man. He starts doing moonsaults. That's another thing we quote all the time. Who wants to see the funker do a moonsault? And you just see all the praise pouring in the indie shows and him. Look up the stuff about AIW with him with the brawl with Duke and Eddie Kingston. Terry always delivered, right? And you see the other wrestlers saying, we all know that Eddie Kingston's very open, that Terry Funk's the GOAT. And a lot of people feel that way. Bill McKenna from Mattel and Kyle Peterson, the figure guy, says everybody talks about Terry Funk and how great and important he was. And he lived a long life, so it almost feels weird, particularly with the news of Bray Wyatt today. Yeah. That to be so mournful over Terry, because he lived longer than a lot of people thought he should have, especially with the abuse he did to his body.
Yeah.
There's, again, it's morbid and there's no way this is fair or whatever, but the fact that Ric Flair is still drinking on his same liver he was born with is really a remarkable thing.
We always say it, but look at Jake Roberts.
Right. And I think those guys feel that way, right?
They do.
I think they know.
They do.
But Mick Foley wrote a really nice post and said, he's slipped pretty far in the last couple of months. And sort of January was the last time he saw him, and he was in a good day, and then it got sort of less and less.
So Dark Side of the Ring on Twitter, they put up the video of Mick seeing him in January.
Yeah.
And it's so nice, it's just...
Yeah, and
it's nice to see those too.
And Mick saying, he's the greatest professional wrestler I ever saw. And I can't disagree. Every aspect of the things that he did in wrestling were so good, and he could be the absolute best, most believable wild man you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And even when he was being a wild man, he'd still make you laugh with a sell or just a little movement. He never confined himself to any of that stuff.
No, man, he was such an entertainer.
Right. Amazing on the mic, great in the ring, a better wrestler in the ring than a lot of people realize. And like, you know, his style's changed, but like the Flair I Quit match is one of the greatest professional wrestling matches of all time.
It really is.
Like it's top 5, maybe my number 1. Like it is an amazing professional wrestling match. You know, and again, he's 44, 45 years old at that point. But in the 70s, the footage is harder to find. If 60s stuff from Amarillo is incredibly hard to find. But you know, he was a great wrestler, a better promo, and the most adaptable wrestler there ever was.
I mean, just look at the feuds that he had. You know, like Harley Race,
Right.
Dusty Rhodes.
You definitely don't have Dusty Rhodes without Terry Funk.
No. You know, Jerry Lawler, obviously.
Right.
You know, my eye, Lawler, my eye.
Right.
Oh my God. Like we were watching earlier.
You're on Lawler's side. The fans are on Lawler's side.
Like we were watching earlier where he just jumps in the ring
Yep.
and beats up just 2 fucking jabrones,
Right.
just screaming for Lawler, like high-pitched shrieking almost, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just so like,
Yep.
man, you don't get that.
He goes, you can't get rid of me, Lawler. I'm going to move here.
Moving here, Lawler.
I'm going to get a house in Memphis, Lawler.
Like, it's like from that shit to, you know, us watching, you know, his ECW stuff,
Right.
With Raven, the promo we watched earlier.
Yeah.
Quote the fucker, nevermore, you piece of shit.
Right. Where he sits in the corner, he's trying to goat Raven,
Oh,
and Raven's
so
like
good.
I don't need to fight you. It's not. We're going to do this in the ring or whatever. He's like, you're not going to get me to fight you. You're not going to get me to lose control.
Yeah, and just Terry does. He gets him to lose
And he's
it.
like, you know what? You're a whiner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my daddy never loved me. Oh my God. Like,
Right.
dude, like from that to, you know, I watched last night when he made his return in WWE in 2006, the stuff with Foley, like just, hey, Foley, your wife's a whore. Hey, Foley, your kids are bastards. Oh, and when he calls them satchel ass, you know, like it's just. Oh my God!
He throws a chicken at Dustin Rhodes.
Dude, he throws a fucking chicken.
He gets kicked by that horse in the stable against Candido in the arm, thankfully, and he hits the horse.
I remember the Dirty Funker. He answered me on Twitter one time when I asked him, like, ask Terry about the horse, you know?
Right.
Yeah, dude. You and I could sit here and wax poetic.
I've you know, I've watched just about everything. I constantly look for new stuff. I'm constantly consuming more Terry Funk media. I don't watch as much as I used to. I particularly don't find myself watching as much of the All Japan stuff from the 70s and 80s that I should get back to because it's very good with him and his brother.
You know what? It is very good, but I agree. I almost find like you know, the matches are great, but like just the promos, man.
Right.
Like
I jump to the like if I'm gonna watch promos, I'm watching stuff from Florida.
Yeah.
If I'm watching matches and stuff, I'm watching the spectacles in ECW or IWA or FMW.
Him in the fucking shower from Florida.
Oh, it's my favorite Terry Funk promo
the
of all
motor
time.
oil. Oh my God!
I saw that promo for the first time on that shoot interview.
Did you really?
That was the first time I ever saw it. And I remember telling people about it, and there was no other way to get it. Like it was the internet was in its infancy, and it just wasn't around for the longest time. And I just used to tell people like, "There's this promo. It's in black and white. He's in a shower. He pours motor oil over his head, and then a 5-pound bag of dirty dirt because that's exactly what it is. Because he wants to know what it feels like to be a greasy, grimy Florida cracker."
Yeah.
And it's this crazy promo, and the man actually drinks motor oil in it.
Dude, fucking.
I remember when Joe Sposto sent it to me for the first time. He's like, "Here, it's online." I was like, "Oh my God, it finally exists."
Yeah. Dude, even the fucking what was it, Fall Brawl 94, the War Games match? The promo about the FBI.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Fat Boys Incorporated.
Right.
Like
Right. And
it's just amazing.
Even in the sort of worst era of WCW, worst in quotes, 2000, 2001, where he's commissioner and the Old Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
And, he's wrestling Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
Like his hardcore title matches with Norman Smiley are really good.
Yeah.
He was just this adaptable guy who, knew that he was slowing down and you could see it, but like it never made him any less believable.
No.
Even at 55 or 57 years old, you were like, this guy has a chance because he is completely uncontrollable.
Yeah.
He's absolutely believable. And because his punches were so good that you never left that state of like, Terry Funk could win this. He could beat anybody. Because he was just a fucking madman. You'd have to kill him.
Yeah. So I looked up on Twitter when I asked the Dirty Funker.
Yeah.
Because like he was saying it's about time to get Mr. Funk on the phone, answer the questions.
Yeah.
Asked if he got revenge on that horse that kicked him during the match with Candido. And Terry responded, "No, I was afraid of the horse. I didn't want to get kicked again. That's for damn sure."
Right. So,
oh man,
he's got the stories, and there's countless interviews and podcasts, and in the last couple of years when he was cognizant and sort of around, he was telling the same stories just fine.
I never got old of him.
Right,
though. That's the problem.
His book is very good.
Yeah,
he tells a lot of fun stories. I saw that story this week of with Briscoe in Japan. I'd never seen that before from Gerald Briscoe's book.
Yeah,
it was Jerry Briscoe about buying the motorcycles from the junkyard for $50. And like when they were done with them, they're like, "What are you going to do with these motorcycles?" And Terry was like, "The only thing we can do, drive them into the river."
Flair was on like the Yes Network with Peter Rosenberg.
Yeah.
And it was asking like this stories about Funk and like tells the fucking one of my favorite stories of like Flair's wife and her friend coming home and the wife and like her friend being like, "Who the hell is that?" And Flair's wife goes, "Well, that's my husband, and that's the world's heavyweight champion. And it's Terry Funk army crawling around the yard with a knife in his mouth. Yeah, naked. Like
hunting Ric Flair's dog.
Because they were fucking hammered off Everclear.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's just, oh man, that shit is so funny.
It is the best. It really is. And he also has, which is really remarkable, it's hard to find a sort of a locked down, solid version of it, but like his wrestling training tree is insane.
Yeah, it really is, man.
Because of the relationship that him and his brother had with Giant Baba in All Japan in the 70s and 80s, everybody was sent through Amarillo.
Yeah.
So Tenryu, Shiruda, Onita. Oh, Onita posted about him and said, like, I basically lived in Terry Funk's house for a month for free.
Yep.
And Terry Funk later calls him a chicken shit. But
I don't need no fucking stitches. Right. Not like Onita. That chicken shit.
He's got the heart of a chicken.
So perfect, man.
And the stories about like Dusty being his backup on West Texas State.
Yeah.
And just like all that sort of stuff, and like Dusty wanted to come to the Funk school, and just the training tree it's legitimately insane. And he just trained so many people from Japan and so many people in the U.S. and just passed it, and also seemingly passed his knowledge throughout his career. Always sort of willing to teach and learn and put people over, and that's a big thing too that a lot of people are talking about. In '89, he has that match against a very young Eddie Guerrero. Yep. I'm like, Eddie gets shit in that match. It's not one sided as you'd think.
I went back and I was re-listening to Jim Ross's episode about Terry from it's like over 2 years at this point, and he talked about the Eddie Guerrero match, and Conrad kind of says like, why didn't Eddie get signed there? And he goes, bullshit that he was too small.
Right.
He goes, Terry loved that guy. Yeah. And he wanted to make him.
Right.
And they just didn't listen to Terry.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Then the funny thing about that is Terry was told by Vince that he was too small in a main event of pay-per-view against Hogan.
Which is nuts.
And they had to pay it off on a Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
And then he went home to the sick horse. Vince, my
horse is sick.
My horse is sick. Terry, how's the horse? Just a legend in the truest sense of the word. I would say about as controversial of a wrestler you could possibly find.
Yeah.
There's no Terry stories of him exposing himself.
Loved his wife.
Right. Loved his wife. And, I ain't going to say that he probably didn't run around on the road. The times were the times.
Yeah.
But married forever to Vicky, 2 wonderful daughters, a family man, always made sure he took care of his family, had the Double Cross Ranch for a long, long time. I read today that him and his brother ran the Amarillo territory until 1980.
Wow.
And sold it to Blackjack Mulligan, and it closed within a year.
That doesn't surprise me, man.
But and just all the great stories. There was a story from the shooter interview that I love. One of my favorite stories is Terry and Dory are little kids, and they're at a restaurant. They're at like a fast food joint or whatever existed back then, and they're sitting at a booth together, and Terry's dad is off at another booth or in line or something, and some guy comes in and squeezes next to Dory in the seat and says, "You can tell me this whole wrestling thing's fake, right?" And Terry slips out of the booth while the guy's talking to Dory, and he goes and gets his dad, and his dad walks over to the guy, and he says, "You talking to my boys?" And he's like, This is what are you asking him? And he goes, "I'll show you how fake it is." He laid him out in that restaurant.
Perfect.
And said, there you go. That's how fake wrestling is.
Perfect.
And it's just I will watch Terry forever.
Yeah, of course.
So we were given an idea this week, a suggestion by Joe from At Odds with Wrestling, and we're going to take it for ourselves because we're greedy. And At Odds has enough stuff. So we're going to start doing a Terry Funk moment of the week here. We both love him.
Yeah.
And we'll play something, put something on social media, sort of, promos. There's enough promos to last us, I don't know.
A lifetime?
Forever. So we're gonna start doing that, just so that everybody can remember and or experience for the first time some fun Terry Funk stuff. Whether it be him slapping Paulie in the mouth for mentioning his daughters.
What do you call him? Dog breath?
Dog breath.
Oh, it's so good.
Or him making Lance Russell wildly uncomfortable. Or when he explains to you that when you have a War Games match, there's one thing that everybody knows what you need.
A pervert.
As the camera pans to Jerry Lawler. Get that camera out of here. So funny. So fucking funny, man. Terry's the best. We have a lot else to talk about. I think we've covered just about everything we needed to. But he's the best, and I love him, and he'll forever be my favorite. Mick Foley said that I don't think anyone will be able to fill Terry's shoes, and I really think that's true. I don't know a professional wrestler that's going to have the wherewithal or the ability to adapt and change and have a career that lasted from 1965 till 2017. So 50 years, whatever.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
Godspeed to the Funker, man.
Absolutely.
We love you.
The double cross ranch in the sky.
Yeah, dude.
Seeing his horse again.
Oh, man. Yeah. But we love you. We love you, Terry.
So much. And I think he knew it. I think towards the end, he got enough praise and enough people loved him. I'm sure there's going to be tributes all week from every promotion. I would imagine every promotion in the world is going to have a Terry Funk thing because he's worked for most of them.
Yeah.
I'm sure All Japan's going to do something huge. New Japan will too. Yep. They've already put out a statement.
Yeah.
But they'll probably take his photo in the ring and do all that kind of stuff. And, we'll see some guys who aren't on social media that'll be telling some stories, I'm sure. Stan and whoever, but
Steen popped back on Twitter yesterday just to put up a thing about Terry, you know?
Right.
But
he wrestled everybody.
Yeah.
And so he is most certainly your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler and belonging on anybody's Mount Rushmore, even though I don't think I put him on my Mount Rushmore those couple of weeks ago. But
I don't think you did.
Maybe I did.
No, it wasn't a personal round.
It wasn't a personal. It was like affecting the business. And it's a little different. But he's just such an influential wrestler. Hopefully at Wembley we see some spinning toe holds.
I need some spinning toe holds. I need some spinning ladder spots.
Right, absolutely.
Because contrary to popular belief, it does not make you look like Homer Simpson.
It's true.
Because Terry Funk rules,
That's
bitch.
Right. I can only imagine that Eddie Kingston's going to be wearing no less than 3 Terry Funk T-shirts to wrestle at Wembley.
That's the way it should be.
He's gonna be like Macho Man wearing 3 different outfits in the one-day tournament. He's just gonna have different Terry Funk attires every time that he's gonna tear off.
That makes me happy.
He was the best, and it's sad. And wrestling is gonna be. I mean, it's weird because he wasn't in wrestling for how long? Wrestling's not gonna be the same without him.
But he was there.
That shadow looms large, and he is. a true legend. A lot of people like to say that word, and he really was.
Yeah.
So Mick Foley said this. Google Terry Funk. Go to YouTube. Type in Terry Funk.
He said, "Spend your weekend.
Right.
Just get lost in it.
Close your eyes and pick something.
Yeah.
I guarantee you'll be entertained. Don't put anything by Hannibal on your TV because that guy sucks. Mm-hmm. And don't look on eBay where everybody's price gouging Terry Funk stuff. And magically, like 150 listings and brand new 8x10 signs showed up.
The disgusting act.
But I guarantee you'll be entertained.
Yeah.
From at any point in Terry's career. So, and look for the real ECW stuff because some of the stuff isn't on Peacock. And, I had a hard time finding Born to Be Wired yesterday, so I just had to dive into my own collection and find it.
I love it, man.
So, but it's all out there, and we'll be making suggestions from here going forward. So, Terry's the best.
Yep. Terry Funk forever.
Forever for real. I thought I was going to, I remembered I thought I had something saved on my phone to play during this.
Well, how about this? Maybe we'll take the extra effort to put in a sound clip or something right here.
Well, maybe I will.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. But I guess we'll be back after this clip, I guess.
Sure.
声が聞こえてまいりました。
Forever!